Insane ways how the Dutch protect themselves against water. Have you ever been to coastal areas? Think of building a home in those areas? What would be the things that will come to your mind? Overall, it would look like an insane thing for you. But there are people in the world who are doing this every day. Who? Well, let us find out. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Countries Economies Explained. Today, we are going to discuss an interesting as well as very informative thing. The Dutch are people who face water problems almost every year. Floods, cyclones, high tides, etc. Those are all pretty common things there. Still, they have managed to settle themselves there. How? And what are the measures that they do to protect themselves? Let us find out. But before that, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and click the bell icon to watch interesting videos like this. On a beach beside the ocean, have you ever attempted to construct walls or other obstacles to protect a sandcastle from the waves? This is the same challenge that the Netherlands is up against, but on a far larger scale. The Netherlands is also sometimes called Holland, and people that are from the Netherlands are called the Dutch. There are parts of the Netherlands that are either below sea level or fewer than 3 feet above the water surface. These low-lying areas are home to all of the country's most populous cities, including Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and The Hague. We went to the Zuiderzee Museum when we were in the Netherlands to see an exhibit on floods that have occurred throughout Dutch history. We were astounded by the sheer amount of catastrophic floods that have struck the nation. The Dutch have constructed a large number of dikes, barriers, and pumps around their nation in order to protect it against flooding. The clever Dutch have come up with many ways to protect against floods. To prevent these vulnerable events, Dutch have to find all these methods. They do the methods that help them protect themselves in adverse situations. What are some of these methods? Well, let us take a look at a few of them. The Dutch are vulnerable to floods from 2 different sources, the sea and rivers. They employ dikes, which are artificial barriers erected specifically to prevent water from entering low-lying areas so that the land may remain dry. In addition to the dikes, they use pumps that are always in operation. If the pumps were turned off, the water would ultimately seep back into the soil that is lower than it was before. After a devastating flood in 1916, they constructed a single enormous dike and utilized it to block off a portion of the ocean. Numerous floods were a direct result of the Zuiderzee, which is an entrance to the North Sea. In order to prevent further flooding, the Dutch constructed a dike that was 32 kilometers long and 20 kilometers in length. After it was finished in 1932, it resulted in the creation of the IJsselmeer, which is the biggest lake in Western Europe that contains only fresh water. The Dutch also use a tactic known as room for water, which means making space for water. In order to save the remaining land, there are times when they are forced to watch as the water takes over a portion of it. This water may have originated in the ocean or in one of the rivers. When it comes to rivers, they create space for the river by ensuring that rivers have lots of bends. This is because straight rivers might flow too swiftly, destroying dikes quickly and leaving less time to respond to floods. In addition to this, they construct 2 dikes all around important waterways. An inner dike for when the water level is normal, and an outer dike for when the water level is high enough to go over the inner dike during a flood. We went to a barrier that's known as the Kering. It's part of a large system of dams that the Dutch have built to block off waterways in the event that the water level becomes too high. This is another important component of the Dutch approach. This is the Kering that you will love. The first thing when it comes to insane ways to get rid of water problems. When you get to the Kering, the first thing that jumps out at you is how huge it is. It is really gigantic. When the water level in the ocean reaches an unsafe level, a series of enormous curving doors will shut off access to the sea. One of the arms that rotates the doors into position is as long as the Eiffel Tower when it is laid on its side. And it weighs twice as much. Because of the way that it works, when it is completely full of water, it has an even larger weight than it had before. To get started, the doors have to be positioned such that they are over the channel. After that, the water is poured into the hollow frame, which causes the doors to sink into the channel. This process is repeated many times. As a consequence of going through this procedure, the doors end up being very solid and weighty. The Kering is designed to provide protection against a rise in sea level of up to 5 meters, which is about 16 feet. Only when it is projected that the water level would rise by at least 3 meters, which is about 10 feet, are the gates closed. Since they were completed in 1997, the gates have only been closed once, and that was for the purpose of an annual test. The test was performed to ensure that they continue to function properly. The May slant carrying was constructed as part of the Delta project, which included the construction of a massive network of dikes and storm surge barriers to defend the southwestern portion of the Netherlands. After a devastating flood in 1953, which claimed the lives of 1,836 people and caused significant damage to a lot of property and prompted the Dutch to rethink their approach to water management, the Delta project was initiated. In what ways may the Netherlands be impacted by climate change? The higher temperatures caused by climate change provide the Dutch with a number of significant issues, the most significant of which are the increasing sea level and the intensification of storms. The level of the water is continuing to rise. The melting of glaciers and ice sheets is a direct result of rising temperatures, with the resulting water finding its way into the seas. There is enough water stored in the world's glaciers and ice sheets to cause an increase in sea level of around 75 meters, which is around 250 feet. The continents of Greenland and Antarctica are home to the vast bulk of the world's glaciers and ice sheets. To present, sea levels have risen by around 8 inches. However, projections indicate that they will continue to rise between 1 and 6.5 feet by the year 2100. Storms with a higher intensity are due to arrive next. Warmer air might potentially hold more moisture than cooler air. Imagine how the mirror in the bathroom mists up after you take a hot shower, and how it would be clear if you switched to a cold shower instead. The results of a conversation that took place at Yale in 2012 on the issue of climate change and the media revealed that the atmosphere that surrounds the Earth is around 4% more humid than it was 30 years ago. This increased amount of water in the atmosphere provides more fuel for storms, since there is just more water that has the potential to fall from the sky, which in turn increases the frequency and severity of rainfall. In addition to that, violent storms often arise over the ocean. Warmer ocean waters provide more fuel for storms than do ocean waters with a lower temperature. The Dutch will pay careful attention to the rate at which the sea level rises over time in order to ensure that their defenses and systems offer an acceptable degree of protection. As sea levels continue to rise and more areas across the globe are impacted by flooding, the water management skills that the Dutch have cultivated over the course of many centuries will only become more and more significant. Already, Dutch experts are sharing their knowledge and collaborating on water management strategies with authorities in New York, Vietnam, particularly the Mekong Delta, Bangladesh, and other locations across the world. Well, that's all for this video. Make sure you drop down a comment on what you think about these things. Tell us if you think you'd be able to survive if someone sent you to live in this type of region. And if you found this video interesting, then please like it and share it with your friends. And also, if you want to watch more videos like this, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to get the notification of our latest videos. And thanks for watching!